All right. What's poppin', party pundits? This is another episode of Pop Talk. It's your favorite pundits on the internet. This is your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing on with Coach Dave,
Roof.
the casual Rand,
What up, though?
and Boston Jared. So Boston is en route right now, but he will join us. He's in the little slick 4 Series beam. But as we, shoot down to another topic, we are the pundits of pugilism, and we are just going to dedicate this segment to all things Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. So we're going to give a little bit of a history and kind of talk about how this fight kind of simulates one of the most kind of popular 80s mini tournaments that we had of fighters in their prime. And then we're also going to give our predictions on the fights, but also give a little bit of our own personal analysis of how this fight is going to play out in there. So we know that this weekend, Tank Davis is fighting Ryan Garcia. It's essentially a lightweight, but it's actually a pound above lightweight, 136 pounds. But there is the controversial rehydration clause that Tank Davis has enacted. So I believe he cannot come in the morning. He cannot weigh more than 10 pounds over the allotted weight limit. So this is something that Tank Davis has caught flack for. It seems it seems one of those things that comes right out of the Floyd Mayweather playbook. Even though I do not recall Mayweather having a rehydration clause, he did when he was on the A side, he did use that to his advantage to, for example, to get Canelo Alvarez to fight at 152 pounds. Even though they were fighting for the 154-pound championship. But his feeling is that if you have an advantage that you can apply and that you can implement in the fight, then that you should go ahead and do that. So, but before we kind of get to the history lesson from Coach Dave, just the pundits, kind of give us your thoughts on this rehydration clause. Do you think that it's above the board, or is it something that's beyond the pale? Like, what are your views on that? And we'll start with you, the casual Rand.
I think it's on board. I mean, Ron is a naturally bigger guy, and he's fighting. He wants to fight at 140, but he called out Tank who fighting at 135. Yes, everybody said that Tank went to 140 and fought or whatever. But even so, what's the rehydration clause? Is it 10 pounds?
Yeah, 10-pound rehydration clause.
So he's saying that he want to come in at 146, and he's complaining that he wants to come in on fight night weighing more than 146 against fighting at a 135 or 136 fight. I mean, I don't see where the argument is made. If he signed the paper saying that that's what he wanted to do. I mean, where was the fire? Where was the fire, or where was the arguments and hatred when Canelo was doing this? Miguel Cotto, all these weight bullies was fighting and had all these weight clauses when they fought back in the day.
I mean, it was there. It's not like people didn't say anything. I mean, the YouTube boxing community wasn't then what it is now, but people were definitely had their opinions about catch weights and the rehydration clauses. I know Manny did it to Oscar. Manny did it again to Cotto. I mean, but people had their opinions. There was outrage. There wasn't as much social media then as there is now.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, man, the dude is way bigger than Tank. So either he fought if he clearly fought him at 135, fight him at 135, or call out somebody else at 140. If he signed the paper at 136, and then he signed the paper saying that he'll have a 10 pound weight clause. Hey, they signed the paper, they getting paid. Hey, let the dice roll.
I think people's issue. Go ahead, Cam.
No, I was saying you keep saying that he's like way bigger. I mean he's taller than him. But I don't know if is he, you think he's that naturally bigger than Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, I think he's actually heavier than Tank.
Yeah, he a big kid. He
I
a
think
big
walk
kid.
around. I think walk around weight. You know what I'm saying? I think he's way bigger than Tank.
Okay, go ahead,
He
Boston.
is.
Give us
Now,
your
what I
thing.
was going to say, what I was going to say is that I think the argument is that if you fought Barrios at 140, Barrios, who is now fighting at welterweight, uh, why aren't you willing to fight a guy who you criticized and ridiculed as being nothing more than a TikToker and an underwears model and whatever other else Tank had to say about him? I mean, Tank is this guy that comes off as this tough guy. You know, he said he'd knock out Crawford, he'd knock out Regis. He talked all this big shit, but when it comes down to time to put your son of the dotted line, there's all these catches and clauses and all that stuff. So it looked like, and it's kind of a funny style move for Tank. I mean, he's a guy that likes to talk about the streets this and the streets that. Well, I mean, the streets is, except for the hardcore Tank fans, people are not feeling this move, man. You call this kid an underwears model, right?
Yeah,
Go in there
but
and
you know what I'm
knock
saying?
him
All
out
right,
there.
he went to Barrios for what? A belt. There was something. There was a risk involved that he took for a belt. Why would he go fight at 140? And when the dude gonna come in at 150, if he agreed to 140, then Garcia would have came in 150, 155, 160. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying?
I mean the casual one, we
You
just
go say stop. Where do you say
yeah.
stop?
Well, I mean, we just talked about that though, right? With Devin Haney, it's just like if you can legally make the weight and you're not using an IV to rehydrate, that's just if,
But
if
you know what I'm
if
saying?
you have an advantage, then that's just an advantage.
So no, the difference between the Haney argument and with the Tank argument, Haney has the belt, so he can dictate the rules. Tank was the A side of this fight, so he dictate that, hey, you can only weigh 10 pounds. So Garcia only option was say, yo, I'll take this fight or I'll not take this fight.
All right, let's bring in Coach Dave. What are your thoughts on the rehydration clause?
Yeah, man, let me give you guys all of it, man. I literally just got that call too, brother. So I number one, I agree with the rehydration clause, man. I like it. There's weight divisions for a reason. And as much as we joke, about Randy being at weight, talking about people being a weight bullies and stuff, I think with the rehydration clause, I agree with the casual one, man, saying, look, I'm all about it, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Have people fighting as much as they can. Now, to Jared's point about, hey, this stuff and people calling folks out, hey, look, man, we still got to remember, as much as we want to get in our straight, hood selves, this thing is still a business. And it is still a business. You know what I'm saying? And if you can have or get that upper hand, be it inside the ring or outside the ring, all of it, when you think about that holistic point of view in terms of this fight game, goes in. You're trying to win the fight even before you get into the ring in terms of just getting into the minds of a joker. But then in the same way, as long as if it's within that legal bounds and you trying to, I don't want to come in and fight somebody 180 pounds, but then I only can hydrate up to 140, So to me, it makes, it makes sense. Just for that reason of it's a business, and for that reason of, we have weight classes for a reason, if that makes sense. And to be honest with you, on the business side of it, hey, whatever you sign on that contract is what you sign on that contract, man. And hey, you got to go in there and deal with it.
So I agree. I mean, he did sign the contract. So arguing about something that you agreed to is, like
right.
crying over, it's like crying over spilled milk. So I did want to get in quotes from both of the boxers regarding this rehydration clause. So Tank says that he's a bigger fighter and he's only growing. He's coming from like 170, 180. Why would I not have a rehydration clause in there so he can blow back up to 150, 160 around the time we fight? No, I'm not dumb. He says, people want you to be a dumbass. That's not smart. All right. So that's Tank defending his position. Ryan Garcia, his official statement is he likes to fight people with no power, so he's trying to weight drain me. That's a rehydration clause. I can't gain more than 10 pounds. There's a lot of stipulations in there that show what kind of character he has, his integrity, and the will of a competitor. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have the heart of a champion. Look at how he represents himself as a champion. He's not even here. So this was apparently an event that he didn't show up to, or maybe he showed up late. So, but I have to kind of agree with the pundits on this one, and is that you agree to this, and this is out of the Floyd Mayweather / Manny Pacquiao playbook, that if you are the A side and any advantage that you can use or that you can implement as a part of the fight, then why not do it? This kind of false machismo or bravado is good if you're out here on the street doing all this other stuff. But boxing is a profession, and it's a business. So this is just part of the kind of business contract that both fighters have signed on to.
It's a sport, though. Also, though, it's a sport, right?
It is a sport.
As a competitor, why would you? It just, to me, like, as a competitor, and it's the crazy thing is, to me, he was on an interview earlier this week talking about guys like Hagler and Hearns and all these old school guys. Like, them cats would have never done no shit like this. Hagler would have never put a rehydration clause on. Now, Ray Leonard is the one guy that might have, which is why I left him out.
Yeah, I think he might have had one too.
Yes, 100%. Ray Leonard would have probably done some shit like that. But why, as a competitor, why would you want to put your opponent at a disadvantage whereby if you win, people are going to question your victory? There's already an excuse built in now, right?
I mean, possibly. I don't think when people talk about Mayweather beating Canelo, I hardly ever hear about, well, you know, it was at 152. And when they think about the demolition job that Manny Pacquiao did on Oscar De La Hoya, that's the results is just really all they talk about.
Right. But again, with Floyd and Canelo, Floyd washed Canelo, right? Floyd soundly outboxed him. And with Pacquiao and De La Hoya was past it. That was De La Hoya's last fight, if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was his last fight.
Yeah, so there were larger caveats that were in, that you could attribute to a fight like that. To those
so
fights,
he needs to go out there and watch Garcia, and then nobody would talk about it. But let's table that for 1 second, because I thought you bringing up Hagler and Hearns was a great way to segue into our little new segment, which is a history lesson from Coach Dave. So Coach Dave is going to kind of draw the parallels between the middleweight greats of the 80s and the middleweight, soon to be great lightweights of the 2020s. So Coach, I know that you may have to leave. You received a important phone call not too long ago, but can you give us your take on this historic parallel?
Well, yeah. So well, first of all, I think just literally kudos to us as a group, man. We have been kind of talking about this whole, lightweight, this 135 group for a while. So just to be real quick, and you guys have mentioned it, we remember the four kings, man. We remember Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, and then Duran. And now, to be honest with you, here we are right here on the cusp of Tank, Gervonta Tank Davis, Shakur Stevens, Devin Haney, and again, Ryan Garcia, Now, looking back at it, back in the 80s, man, we know that it was, Roberto Duran, what I'm saying, that got the short end of the stick. That joker, he being the one that lost to all three of them. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that that's going to happen to Ryan Garcia, but I'm just saying, hey.
But one caveat though is he's also the only one that owns an official victory over Sugar Ray.
Nah. What's it called? Beat him. What's it called? Beat him up. My man from Texas.
No, I'm talking about between the four kings.
Talking about the four
between the four kings.
Yeah. I'm talking between the four kings.
Yeah.
You're talking about Terry Norris though.
Terry Norris. Terry Norris.
Now what I like, and I think the parallel to this thing is, I definitely would put Tank Davis as more in lines with Hagler. I would definitely put Shakur Stevenson in more lines with Ray Leonard in terms of just how technical and sharp he is with it. I would put Haney in lines definitely with Thomas Hearns, of course, with that chin being suspect. We know Hearns' chins was suspect whenever he got touched, and Haney liked to get clipped because he lose focus, towards the end. But one thing that I will say that I think is kudos to this generation of these prospects to be great. These four guys is that now we see that they are going at it. We're not waiting a super duper long time to have these incredible fights. So I just think we should absolutely even give it up to them. You know what I mean? And then another great parallel too, me and the professor was talking earlier. It's like just back even in those old days in the 80s where you had those four kings, you did have, cats like Michael Nunn, Donald Curry, Milton McCoy, Mike McCallum. You had those cats that was kind of up under, a layer up under that was ready to rise, and some of them, actually, did rise to great. Simon Brown, you had a lot of those cats that actually did rise to greatness, and so the same thing here, man. I mean, I still would put Teofimo. I still, to be honest with you, I would put even Lomo down a little bit, maybe because of the age. We'll see how he does against Haney, but you got Martin and all these other the Russell kids. You got all these other underlying folks that's ready to come up as well up under this, between this 135 and 140 group. So, and I think that this Tank and this Garcia fight, and God knows after Haney dusts off Lomo, if Haney and Shakur go at it, man, I think that it's just gonna spark stuff throughout the whole boxing, the whole boxing weight division, because at the end of the day, we all have been complaining about, why don't these cats just fight each other? So feel about how you wish to feel about any of these fighters, within this 135. Give it up to that division for saying, bump it. We young, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it on. So that's just my take.
That's right. So the pundits, do y'all want to kind of weigh in on the coach's take on this kind of parallel boxing landscape?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the politics and all that, I think I agree with Dave in terms of that slightly. It's tough to compare the politics and the business from 3 decades ago of the sport to the politics and the business of it now. It's much structured much differently back then. And Dave has been saying it now for the last several shows. So in that sense, I agree. Now, as far as the comparisons stylistically and skill wise to them other guys, I'll let Dave. That'll be Dave's own independent take on that. I don't know that. I don't know that any of these guys, and I always hate when people call these kids the four horsemen or the four kings or whatever, man. I mean, Haney has got his accolades, but I just don't see it. Those guys back then had accomplished so much. Exceptions. And even a guy like Wilfred Benitez, who was always left out.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Benitez is always left out of that conversation. And Benitez was a guy who, unfortunately, he lost to all those guys too. The one guy he did beat was Duran. Duran, who had eaten himself, had ate and sniffed his way out of 135. I don't think Duran had any business up there fighting any of those guys, but I don't want to go too far on that rabbit hole. Yeah,
allegedly sniff. We don't want it.
I mean, I don't know about allegedly. I mean, there's plenty of documentaries out there. I mean, I think he'll tell you himself. But yeah, I think these guys, a lot of these guys are being forced to fight each other. Whether it's the handlers and the people who write the checks, who are saying, "Hey, you want to get paid? Make the big fights." I don't know, but the fights are happening. By hook or by crook, they're happening. And as a boxing fan, I just want to see the fights. Right. I don't care how or why, as long as the fights happen.
Yeah.
All right, Casual Rand, you got any takes on this? The historic parallels?
Nah, not with the parallels. I mean, I don't, and I don't see them fighting each other. I think the strings are going to start getting pulled, and people are going to start sliding out. The first one sliding out is Haney. I think after his fight with Lomachenko, he goes to 140, and then it's game on after that with the belts.
Well, to just to jump in, what's it called? Haney's pops Bill is been consistent about staying at 135 for the rest of the year if the fights present themselves. So
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I was telling Professor Nims that earlier, but I just don't see it. I just don't see him staying at one. I think the better option, well, for him, the better option for us is to see him fight Shakur. But the better option for him is to go up and fight the winner of Teofimo Josh Taylor.
You don't think? I mean, his contract is up after this fight. You don't think a Tank Devin fight is the fight that needs to happen next? I mean, Tank has got that WBA Reggie, right? And Tank is, to me, why wouldn't you want all four of them belts? Because he's called those guys easy work, right? Especially Devin. Devin pillow fisted, Devin this, Devin that.
Yeah, so
why not just go take them belts?
Is Shakur who camp is Shakur on? Who's Shakur under?
He's with Top Rank.
Shakur with Top Rank.
Yeah, and then Haney's with Top Rank too, right?
Right, but after the Lomachenko fight,
think they're gonna let Tank? You think Bob Arum will give Tank the possibility of slipping on them belts?
I'm saying that Devin, after this fight with Lomachenko, his contract is up. So he'll be a free agent.
He'll be up, yeah.
Win, lose, or draw after the Lomachenko fight. I think he now is the favorite to beat Lomachenko. So if he's the undisputed champ and Tank has the Reggie belt for the WBA, why not make Tank Devin Haney? Why is Shakur Stevenson, who has got one fight in the division, why is he even in the conversation?
Because I think that's who Bob Arum is pushing.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said that. I was going to say I think Tank fans are pushing Devin Shakur to keep Devin away from Tank, which I don't get because I feel like Tank could beat Devin. I think
Tank could beat Devin, but I just don't think that fight happened just due to alignments.
All right, well, I think that was good conversation. Some fodder for the fight fans. And I tend to agree with most of what the pundits said. The only thing it was, even though we can, I do agree that, Roberto Duran ate and at least partied himself, out of that weight division. But I still think he was far more accomplished than somebody like a Ryan Garcia. But I may get surprised by Ryan Garcia. To me, he still seems to be a product more of his kind of looks and Instagram, fan more than anything that he's done in the ring. But he puts butts in the seats, and which is what we need for boxing at this time.
Dave, do you have to go? Is that why you sending your prediction?
Yeah, man, I wanted to shoot that on up in there.
Oh, man. Why don't you, Cam, you want to just let him give the prediction now then?
Yeah, let's go ahead with our pundit pick.
Prediction and breakdown.
Okay, well, look, man, I'm going to get mine right quick. I got Tank in the late rounds. I'm gonna pick round 10 by stoppage. I'm gonna say Garcia probably gives him a little trouble in the earlier rounds, simply just with the quick jab. I think Tank wakes up from a Garcia left hand. Just simply because of the dynamics of an orthodox fighter, fighting a southpaw, that left, either one of their hook, Tank's right hook or left hook is going to be there. So I think Tank gives him a little, respect. Tank starts slow, but I think just like Santa Cruz, Tank gonna figure this kid out and get that timing. And I see a power uppercut or coming off a combination right hook that's going to put this dude to sleep. And I'm going to also go with an uppercut, him slipping that jab, man. So Tank, late round, 10 by stoppage. A little bit trouble in the beginning, but prevailing.
All right, very good. So you got a Tank by a 10-round stoppage. You think
Yeah.
it's a KO or a TKO? What do you think?
Sleep, man.
Put him to sleep.
Yeah, I
Night
think he
night.
put. Yeah.
Woo. He hanging that chin out there. So yeah. All right, coach, man. If you need to leave, we definitely understand, but we'll go ahead and round out the pundit picks to finalize this
Okay.
Tank Garcia special.
Yep. Yeah. Y'all just keep keep my man in your prayers. Yeah.
Will do.
Appreciate y'all. Yeah.
So let's do it a little bit since we are going with the the Garcia Tank special. Let's kind of talk a little bit about how we think that this fight is gonna play out, some of the advantages that both of the fighters are bringing into the ring, and then we'll just kind of end with our pundit picks. I'll go ahead and start out. So for me, I think that this is a fight that should be able to help us realize that there's classes when it comes to fighters, like certain fighters on a world class level, domestic level. If it does play out to how I see it, I think that everything that everything that Tank Davis has been doing within his career has kind of brought him to this point. I think that he has a couple of soft touches in there, but I think that he has definitely fought the tougher opposition.
Who has?
I think that Tank Davis has easily fought the tougher opposition.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. All right.
Yeah, I think that he's fought several former champions. He's fought a plethora of different styles, and there's only one fight. I mean, it's last fight, but there's only one fighter. I mean, it's a couple of fighters, but there's not too many fighters on Ryan Garcia's ledger that I think would prepare him for world-class fighters. So, just as an example, these are his last. We'll give each fighters like last 4 fighters. So he fought Javier Fortuna at 140, and Fortuna is he's a good opponent, but he is. He's not world class.
Legit 135 guy too. Not some guy that got brought up.
Well, they fought at 140. They fought at 140 for the fight.
Oh, that's true. So he did bring him up. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. He did bring him up.
Before that was Emmanuel Tago, which I thought was one of his least impressive performances. He did stop Luke Campbell, and then before that was Francisco Fonseca. These are not top. And then so we'll look at Tank Davis, his last 4 opponents, just as a comparison. So for Tank Davis, even though he does, we could talk about the Rolly, but he fought Hector Luis Garcia, Rolando, Rolly, Isaac Cruz, and then Mario Barrios. And if we go down just one more fighter, you have the Leo Santa Cruz fight in there. Yeah. So I think that he does. And then I think that when you just look at the boxing, acumen that each fighter is able to display within the ring, the tools that they possess, and also how they are able to their kind of ring generalship. I think that Tank is a class above Garcia, but Garcia has legitimate power. He has legitimate power in that left hand. Like if I was training for him, I wouldn't worry anything about the right hand. I haven't really seen him hurt anybody with the right hand, but that left hand is blindingly fast. It might be the fastest punch in boxing. And as Coach was talking about, because of the southpaw against the orthodox fighter, that left hand is going to be really close to Tank Davis. And even though Tank Davis has power in both hands, I think I would take Garcia's left hook over Tank's right hand.
Yeah, but I mean that's not Tank's power hand though.
It's not.
Tank,
I mean, he can drop him, but I was saying, but that's the punch that's going to be closer to Garcia, right? So I'm thinking about
yeah.
both of their
I
lead
got you. That's
hands,
what you're saying.
and then if I had to kind of take one, I think I would take Garcia's lead power hand over Tank, even though Tank can drop you with that right hand. So I'll kind of say my prediction for that. So let's go to the casual one. Kind of give
Man, I'm just saying that Tank has had a whole training camp to prepare for that left. If he get caught with it, shame on him. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only thing that people's ever said about Garcia. And so if you get caught with it, then shame on you. That's the one thing he should make sure that he's prepared for. Other than that, I don't see. Garcia shows that he's chinny. In his training videos, he showed that he got that chin straight up in the air. So I just don't see what he's changed that's going to be different. That's going to change the outcome of this fight, man. I just.
Yeah, Tank is the favorite for a reason. Tank is the favorite for a reason. But I think this is. I was telling somebody else earlier this week. I mean,
I think you froze. Yeah, could you just repeat the last couple of?
Sorry. I was telling somebody earlier this week that I think that this is a significant step up in competition for both fighters.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a step up for Ryan. It's definitely more of a step up for Ryan. But Tank has never really come into a fight that I can think of giving up so many physical advantages. I don't know that he's obviously the height advantage goes to Ryan, the reach advantage goes to Ryan, and the hand speed advantage may even slightly edge towards Ryan. Now, I think that's so. Where that's slightly,
but
that's where it begins and ends as far as advantages go for Ryan. Tank's a more versatile fighter. Tank has got more experience. I think Tank has definitely got more power in each hand, and Tank is definitely the more defensively sound fighter. That being said, in boxing, sometimes the better boxer, the better guy doesn't always win. Sometimes the guy that's got the physical advantages, height and reach, can be hell for a guy who has got some of the other advantages. Look, Tank is going to have to work his way into range. And in order for Tank to be effective, he's going to have to put himself in a danger zone. He's going to have to put himself right in the range of that left hook. The other thing that I think is that all these people are sitting there talking about left hook. He's got a world-class trainer in Joe Goosen. That's the one advantage that I left out just a few seconds ago that people aren't talking about. And I would favor Joe Goosen's big fight experience over Calvin Ford's big fight experience. I don't have both of their resumes pulled up right here in front of me, but Joe Goosen has been there and done that.
Yeah. I don't think it's even close. I mean, Goosen goes back to Diego Corrales, and even before
and the list goes on and on. The point I'm trying to make is, if you think that the left hook is going to be the only thing that Ryan Garcia's got, that straight right hand, which is the arch enemy of the southpaw, right, is the straight right hand. Tank Davis, he's going to have to really swim it out getting wet in this fight. If Ryan Garcia is able to establish that range and maintain that range early on in this fight with that jab, not even having to land the jab, because it's the textbook says that to be able to land that jab against a southpaw is very, very hard, because you're going to work past the lead hand of the southpaw. That's fine. He don't have to necessarily land that distance and keep Tank at the right range with that left jab in order to land the straight right hand. And when Tank tries to tick-tock and rock and cut that range to get his work off, don't back up. Turn this dude. keep turning and turning this joker, keep the fight in the center of the ring, maintain that range, bring that straight right hand. Anytime Tank tries to close that range, you have got to make Tank pay, and you've got to make him respect that power. On the other side, if you tank, you've got to be patient, I think. I think the first 6 rounds of this fight is going to be the most danger posed to Tank is going to be to those 6 rounds. So be patient. Don't try to get back every single shot that you give up. Ryan lands a good, clean shot, smile, keep it moving. Don't try to get every single shot back, because if Tank gets into an exchange with this kid, whoever gets who first is going down, is what it comes down to. All the skill, all the experience that Tank has, all that shit goes out the window if he gets into an exchange with this kid. Now, it could very well go the other way. If Tank catches Ryan first, I think Ryan's going down, and I don't think Ryan's getting back up. But Ryan has more of a chance if he gets into those exchanges. Take Ryan into deep waters. I really do. I really think so.
I don't think I've ever seen Tank hurt in a fight. And we'll wait till Boston comes back to kind of retort. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I've seen him take some combinations.
Yeah, I've seen him take some combinations, but I've seen Garcia get tagged, get dropped. His chin is just up there for the taking.
Am I back? Can y'all see me?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh,
you're
word.
back.
Okay.
So did you want to comment? Because I was saying I don't think I've seen Tank actually hurt in a fight.
Nah, we never seen Tank in with a guy with any kind of real power, and we never seen Tank in with a guy who posed a legitimate threat to hurt him. And I mean, well, wait a second. Well, first of all, Barrios definitely hurt him. Rowley definitely got his attention.
He got his attention.
We've seen.
You think Barrios hurt him?
I 100%.
I'll go back and look at that.
I 100% think Barrios hurt him. 100%. Yeah, we've never seen this. Is what part of what makes this fight so intriguing is the fact that if Tank gets caught by this kid, Tank is going to get hurt, and Tank could legitimately go down. I mean, it's interesting. It's a compelling fight, despite Ryan's lack of big fight experience. You know, he could definitely hurt. He could definitely hurt Tank. Tank's been hurt before. He's an experienced guy, and he does a good job of hiding it. But he's been hurt before. He's definitely been hurt before.
One thing I will say is that one good example of a orthodox fighter utilizing a jab. If you look at the Floyd Mayweather fight when he fought Victor Ortiz, whatnot, and this was somebody else who had a this is somebody who really was just relying on their right hook. But Floyd Mayweather did an excellent job of utilizing the jab. He did it to the head and to the body, which I think would be good advice for Ryan Garcia. Even though in that fight, I did notice that Floyd Mayweather was circling to his, he did that because that was right. He was circling to his right, which you don't recommend against a southpaw, but he was circling away from Victor Ortiz's power punch, which was his right hook.
Yeah, he can't circle to his right against Tank.
Yeah,
he better not circle. He better not circle.
Yeah, he better not. Yeah, he better.
No. And if he does decide to try to get to Tank's body, he damn sure can't reach down there to his right, Tank's left. Okay, he reached down there to Tank's body, and the distance is wrong or off. You know what's coming. It's that super Street Fighter uppercut, and Tank and Ryan's going to sleep.
But what about this, right? So let's go back to the Floyd Mayweather versus the Corrales fight, right? So yes. What was probably his most effective punch in that fight?
For Floyd, it was that jab to the body, that stab jab to the body.
Yeah, but also that leaping left hook. I don't know if you remember, he hurt him a lot with that.
He did. He dropped him. The first time he dropped him was with that. He would fake with that stab jab to the body, exactly. And he would go up top of the leaping left hook. He would go up
top or whatnot. So I don't think Garcia has the he doesn't have the legs of Floyd. He has a hand speed of Floyd, but he doesn't have the quick twitch where he can kind of
So
jump
he
in
has a
there.
lot of stuff that Floyd don't have.
Yeah, yeah.
Tank
But you know,
Davis has got a
but
lot
if
of
he
stuff that Corrales didn't have. Corrales wasn't some defensive fighter. Corrales was a front-footed boxer puncher who walked you down and beat your ass up. Who was another guy who was big for the weight, right?
oh, he was a
So
giant.
yeah,
for
I
the weight.
don't. I hope that Joe Goosen is not watching Corrales Mayweather, because that ain't gonna work out very well.
Well, I
He's
mean,
got-
one, but you know, like, what if he gets Tank? I'm not saying he does, but like, what if he gets him to like start biting on the like stab or like the jab to the body, and if he comes over top with the left hook, I mean, we could see a little chicken dance from Tank, and I mean that would just have the crowd going crazy.
Yeah.
And with that said,
Yeah.
Rand, so this fight is at the T-Mobile Arena, in Vegas. Who do you think is going to have the crowd on this side?
I say Brian.
I think so too.
I say it's on the West Coast, you know, like more Hispanic. Vegas. If it was on the East Coast, I'd definitely say Tank. But I think Garcia, and then them tickets is astronomical.
Yeah, tickets are ridiculous apparently. Yeah.
So that's killing a lot of like fan base, like especially, you know what I'm saying? Like me, I ain't paying. You know, I want to see it, but I ain't paying no couple grands for no Tank fight, for no Garcia.
Definitely not.
So, what, like tickets are a couple of grand for nosebleeds?
No, I believe in a couple of grand, but I was told 800 for the nosebleeds, like 850 for the nose. That was several weeks ago, like 850 for nosebleeds.
Yeah, and they're but those are easily reselling for like 2,500 for somebody who's desperate to just be for a nosebleed. 2,500, that's you already got to be super desperate.
Yeah, I don't know what they're reselling for now, but I remember several weeks ago or about a month ago, there was about 800 for the nosebleeds.
So, before we give our picks, I want to give the
no comp tickets either. At least on the DAZN side. On the DAZN side,
wow, no comp tickets.
No comp tickets. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm sure Eddie Hearn can comp out tickets, but if you like my man, he no comp tickets. He always gets tickets to comp out. Not for this shit. No comp tickets at all. Not on the DAZN side. I can't speak for the Showtime PBC side, but I know for the DAZN side, zero comp tickets for employees.
So with that said, so at this time, the money line, you know, it may move, but Tank Davis is a -230 favorite. So that's meaning that you would need a $230 bet to bring back $100, and Ryan Garcia is a +180 underdog, meaning that $100 bet on Ryan Garcia will pay you back $180. So that's not terrible odds.
Fights getting closer, right? I mean, a few weeks ago, the odds were a lot wider, weren't they?
Yeah, that's not terrible at all.
And I bet you Friday they're going to be closer. So if you're trying to put a little money on Ryan and win something back, I would put money on Ryan here. Put it on him now. Put that money on Ryan now. All
right. We're getting close to our end time. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in with our predictions, and we'll go back to the casual Rand. Give us your pundit pick for the Garcia Tank Davis.
I say Tank catches him in the
8th round.
Yeah.
You see Garcia giving him any trouble early on?
I think it's gonna be slow. And I agree with what Dave said. Just Tank gonna have to be slow, methodical, defensive. And like maybe at the 6th round, start picking it up, and then on the 8th round, he gonna catch it.
All right. What about you, Boston Jared?
Got Tank in 9. I think I think Ryan starts feeling himself a little bit too much towards the end of the fight. That last quarter of the fight, I think he does get out to an early lead. I think the fight gets super spooky for Tank fans in the first 6 rounds of this fight. I think Ryan is going to get out to a significant lead. I think he's going to be able to, with ring generalship, and effective aggression, I think he is going to really, really be able to establish a lead. I think he's going to have the lead going into that 9th round. And I think Ryan feeling himself a little bit too much and the inexperience, he makes a mistake.
And bye-bye nighttime. So any scary moments for Tank?
Yeah.
Any
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Like I said, I think this shit's gonna get super spooky. In the first six rounds of this fight for Tank, super spooky, especially if he finds himself out on the end of Garcia's punches. It's gonna be spooky because he ain't gonna be able to. That speed is gonna take him. It's gonna take him a little while to adjust, and especially if Joe Goosen has got Ryan in there feinting, not just with the hands, foot feinting, vocal feints. All that shit is going to really do a lot to disrupt Tank's timing. It's going to take him even longer to adjust. I really think, again, I think Ryan makes his own mistake that leads to his demise. I don't think Tank forces a mistake. I think Ryan makes his own mistake.
You don't think he'll set a trap for him?
No, I think Ryan's mistake makes his own mistake in this fight, and I think Tank takes advantage of it. I think he gets a little too aggressive. He starts feeling himself a little too much. I think he gets a little too aggressive, and Tank catches him with an overhand left coming in. I think you're going to see something similar to what happened to Rolly. But Tank has got that comic book type power, man. He got off platform from weird angles. He's got Marvel Comics type power, man, and better of him. I also predict that Ryan Garcia is going to blow weight. I don't think that 136 is. Yeah. I think he comes in. He comes in around 138 and a half, something like that. 138.
He's gonna give up 20% of his purse, or maybe more.
I mean, no, it's not 20% of his purse. From what I've been told, it's $250,000 per pound for both the weigh-in and the rehydration clause.
Okay.
That's $250,000. But when you got Christian Dior cutting you checks, and you got Gatorade cutting you checks, and EM cutting you checks, and you got these cats at the zone with deep pockets, why not come in comfortable?
So he's gonna blow both of them then, because if
I predict he blows right through both of them.
Then he's not gonna do the rehydration.
I predict he blows. I'm saying he blows
so
right.
He's gonna give away he's gonna give about a meal. Maybe
he'll give him about a milli, maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe
like $1.5 million. So he must be making some good ducats on this. I mean, he is obviously, but so that's good. So
money off Instagram that he do off of fighting.
That he what?
He makes more money off Instagram and endorsements than he do off boxing. According to him.
I mean, and part of it he don't fight enough, but that's amazing to me that people are making 7 figures, off of Instagram just by posting.
It ain't just Instagram, right? He got Dior endorsements, right? He got GM, he got Gatorade behind him. And again, like I said, these cats over at the zone, these cats got long money. Even if Ryan gets knocked out, but the fight is competitive because you're able to come in comfy, what's $1 million? You run this shit back, you're going to make that $1 million you blew on the way-in 10 times over if you're comfortable and you're able to make the fight competitive. But if you come in like a POW and you gassing out and you can't throw punches no more after 5 or 6 rounds and the fight's not competitive, the rematch is much less intriguing, man. Blow that weight, come in comfortable, make the fight.
Well, I don't necessarily see a rematch. Tank doesn't do rematches, in my opinion, but I'm gonna go, and this is not because y'all picked the 8th and 9th, but I had it in my head. I'm gonna go with a 7th round TKO for Tank. I think that the referee will stop a kind of a wobbly Ryan Garcia, but I think that Ryan has a good chance of maybe dropping Tank. It'll be more of a kind of a check hook. I think Tank kind of touch his gloves down to kind of get balance or whatnot. Almost, a la Floyd Mayweather when he fought Zab Judah, even though it wasn't called. But I could see that happening. But I do see Tank being on the back foot for at least the first 4 rounds. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Garcia sweeps the first 4 rounds and then have people kind of antsy and thinking about, this money that they're going to lose. But I think that Tank's class will show, and maybe even as a product of Ryan Garcia being able to stun, I don't know if he'll hurt him. I think he'll be able to stun Tank. I think that he'll get a little bit too overconfident, and then Tank will. I think he'll walk him into something. But there's kind of a fine line between making a mistake and then somebody kind of bringing you to into a pitfall.
Last week when we all agreed on the fighter winning,
he lost.
Yeah, he got.
Oh man,
embarrassed. So
holy shit! What, man, you're right.
Yeah, damn. So that's one, and then the second, on an end note, this Alberto Puyo just popped hot. So,
what, drugs and boxing?
Yeah, so they're thinking about stripping him, and then when you said Raleigh fighting for a belt, when Raleigh fighting, he might have to fight Ishmael Barroso for the WBA in May.
What did Puyo pop hot for?
It just said test positive for a banned substance.
Yep.
All right, well, there you have it. This is our Tank Garcia special. This was dedicated to all things on Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. We got our pundit picks in. I think we got it 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So just realized that. So not a lot of variance within our picks, but at the same time, I feel pretty comfortable for it. But I'll be the first to say I'll be surprised if we come back next week and we have to report on it in upset.
I wouldn't be. I'm not gonna be surprised.
I will be. I'll be hurt a little bit. But with that said, so I know you're gonna hopefully you'll get a chance to see the fight, Boston J. I know you're gonna be celebrating your B-Day on that day.
Oh, now we're going out after the B-Day. The dinner is at 4 on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Dinner is at 4, and we're gonna be out of there. We're dropping forks.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, man, you got us on the damn the old band special.
We going to I told you we'll be going afterwards, right? I told you we'll be going. We going to the park to watch.
Oh, that's where y'all watching it at?
Yeah.
Man. I'm gonna be there writing the paper.
Oh man! All right.
So with that said, this is your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing out. First of all, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. Trying to get them subscribers back up. Make sure that you do that. But this is Professor Nims. I'm signing out for Boston Jared and the Casual Rand.
Peace.
And on behalf of Coach Dave, we do have your partner and brother, in our thoughts and prayers. But peace out. This is another popping episode of Pop Talk.
Peace.